is only one thing Scooby-Doo and I care about this vacation. Like, hello everyone, and welcome back to the new Scooby Doo Reviews. I am your host, the Jedi Bender, and you want to know what's funny, dudes? When I started this series, I knew that I would have to cover each and every Scooby-Doo movie and TV show ever made. This includes the more recent ones. Well, except for those, because, copyright. But nevertheless, today we're going to be diving headfirst into everyone's favorite era, the What's New Scooby-Doo era. Oh, I hold those cheers if I were you, because while this particular incarnation may seem nostalgic, it still gave us a lot of bad and average films. Two in particular so bad, they make Velma and Daphne blush. And trust me, we will unfortunately get to those later down the road. So, how will today's fare? Well, let's of course find out by taking a trip to Hawaii and seeing for ourselves. This is Aloha Scooby Doo.
What's a Scooby Doo? We're coming after you. You gotta solve that mystery. I see a Scooby Doo. The trail is begging you. What's a Scooby Doo?
Released on February 8, 2005, and being re-released on Blu-ray in 2011, Aloha Scooby Doo was the second canon film to take place in the What's New Scooby-Doo era. It was directed by Tim Moultrie and written by Temple Matthews. It also happens to be the last film to reach Ray Bumatai and Hawaiian singer Don Ho, who also sang the opening credits for the film. Oh, it's gonna be one of those, isn't it? In Hawaii, Honolulu, we see the natives getting ready for the Big Kahuna of Honolulu surfing contest, held every year. And this time, the odds are on the reigning champion, the best surfer in all of Honolulu, Manu. But it has been announced that the mayor is allowing the mainlanders to be taking place and competing in the contest, and this is told to upset the island spirits. Yes, you heard me right. The town is then quickly invaded and attacked by the Wiki Tiki and his little tikis, who cause a lot of damage, frighten the civilians, but also capture Manu's girlfriend Snooki. We then cut to see the gang exploring the mainland, with Fred, Shaggy, and Scooby going paragliding, and Daphne and Velma taking pictures for her clothing line, while also tree climbing, of course. They then come to hear the commotion going on and decide to investigate. Once they get there, they find that everyone is spooked out, so they start exploring the town to ask questions, but they also then later on get involved in a limbo contest. But we ultimately see the little tikis return to cause trouble again, this time trying to scare the mainlanders out of Honolulu and never coming back. So, the gang comes up with a plan to enter Daphne into the surfing competition, which obviously draws the attention of the Wiki Tiki, and after coming so close into capturing him, they go back, so Manu then offers up a plan. He offers to be their guide into finding answers on how to stop the Wiki Tiki while also trying to look for his love, Snooki. However, Manu is then soon captured as well. So now, with both Manu and Snooki being sacrificed to the Wiki Tiki, it is up to our heroes to find out how to save them and save the Big Kahuna of Honolulu. So let's go ahead and break this movie down to see how it holds up, while I also give my final conclusion on the movie as a whole. Let's go ahead and start with the voice acting. Now, since I have to go into this with a new critical perspective, the voice acting for the most part still holds up quite well, and our main cast is very much on point here. You of course have Frank Welker as both Fred and Scooby-Doo, Casey Kasem as Shaggy, Mindy Cohn as Velma, and finally Grey DeLisle as Daphne. Each one delivers a better performance, and just overall, it feels good to hear the old cast again. And I must give points to the late Casey Kasem, who, despite getting up there in age, was still able to deliver the amazing humor we have come to know from Shaggy. And I always had a smile on my face whenever the cast was on screen. The rest of the supporting characters are decent, to say the least. We of course have Mario Lopez as Manu, Tia Carrere as Snooki, the late Ray Bumatai as Little Jim, Tom Kenny as Ruben LaLuna, Tori Gar as the mayor, and finally the late Adam West playing Jared Moon. all are given above average performance, and it is good to see that they have personalities coming through to the characters, and I generally thought they were entertaining and really shined, and the highlights of course being Ray Bumatai and Adam West. They really knocked it out of the park, and it was just so great to hear these actors in these roles. However, the most disappointing performance was unfortunately Terry Garr as the mayor. She was just painfully bland and annoying. I couldn't get invested in her performance at all. Now, I'm not blaming her, but more or less the script itself, as this character is just unlikable with no redeeming qualities whatsoever. And I really wanted the Wiki-Tiki to take her alive, but sadly that doesn't happen. Still, that being said, the voice acting in this film is pretty decent, and I would actually say it is the main highlights of the film. But that's sadly not saying much. Now let's talk about the animation. So thankfully, it still holds up extremely well. This could of course be thanks to the Blu-ray remaster, but there is unfortunately nothing too flashy or outstanding here. It's just middle of the road. However, the colors are extremely nice and rich, everything is well detailed, and there are some great background shots showing off the beautiful environment and landscapes of Honolulu. Plus, the water surfing looks pretty damn eye-catching. I think compared to Monster of Mexico, this does a far better job showing off and capturing the landscape of what it's trying to ultimately represent. However, as I said, that's an extremely low bar. However, one thing that brings the animation quality down for me is the use of CGI for the little tikis. Now, it's not as bad as the Loch Ness Monster. However, they still at least do use 2D here and there, but it's not as much, and when we do see the CGI implemented for the little tikis, it sticks out like a sore thumb, which unfortunately can't be helped. But all things considered, everything animation-wise just looks beautiful and breathtaking. I think it does a serviceable job with what it has to do, while also trying to not be, well, bad. Now, yeah, it's not the Mook animated films, nor is it Mystery Incorporated, but I still think what we got with this movie was pretty decent. And last but not least is the writing. Oh boy, the writing. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the good parts of this movie. Well, everything does have a decent flow to it, nothing feels out of pace, and the pacing is just overall acceptable. That being, of course, when we get to explore Honolulu and the locals with their culture, and the supporting characters, as I said, have really good personalities and motivations that could honestly make them possibly beat the Wiki-Tiki. This is just amazing stuff all around, and I would say these are the only good parts of the writing. And that's pretty much it, so let's just go ahead and get into the bad. Well, let's start off by saying this. How they portray Hawaiian legends in this movie is completely false. And when I mean legends, I just mean forgetting them entirely. The Wiki-Tiki was completely made up for this film, and all of the folklore ideas they could have used leading to so many great possibilities, as long-haired Creepy and Chibi Thulu pointed out in their review of this film, which I would highly recommend you go check out, but the point still stands. Why the Wiki-Tiki? Out of all of the amazing folklores you can look up on Hawaiian culture, this is what you ultimately go with? A half-assed creature that isn't even worth investing any time or emotion into? It's ultimately just here to be the bad guy of the film, and the little tikis are just, well, there to scare you. And that's pretty much it. So, yeah. And speaking of the bad guys, well, let's just go ahead and point out the fact that in 3, 2, 1, the villains are Manu and Snooki. Now, out of all of the bad guys in the past Scooby Doo films, these two knuckleheads' plans don't make any damn sense whatsoever. You have all of this time and skill to build all of these little remote control animatronic creatures, and you want to invest your time with them into scaring the locals off to try and win a freaking contest? Jesus, you could have been rich with this. You could have given them to the military or made some toys. Seriously, This would have been a much better plan if you focused on trying to, I don't know, just have common sense. But no, instead, they just decided to win a contest. Jeez, you both are dummies. There's also a secondary character who is just wasted here, not to mention she's ultimately played by Grey DeLisle, and it's just an excuse for her to give off a bad Hawaiian accent. I'm sorry, but this is not what Hawaiian accent sounds like.
The wiki tiki tuk manu.
And Snooky.
And let's just go ahead and talk about the music because it was kind of unavoidable. The opening song by Don Ho is somewhat good to listen to. Maybe that's just me because of a guilty pleasure, but still, the rest of the music is just bland and uninspiring. I really could not get invested into it. Now, Scooby-Doo has always had great music, but this is just not good to hear, and it doesn't help that everything just kind of, well, strings together. And the last thing I have with this movie is that it has no damn idea how volcanoes work. You cannot carve steps in a volcano. Or, hell, even this stupid scene.
Guys, I think we're looking at the heart of the Mount Pulanana volcano.
So it's not smoke coming out of that mountain after all. It's just steam that someone's been manipulating for effect.
Seriously, movie? Other than that, the script is just average and dull at best. It completely botched the lore of Hawaii, and it just ends up feeling like an extended episode of the show, more or less not even a movie. Overall, the film is just barely above average. It's entertaining for both kids and adults alike thanks to its voice acting and animation, while also providing us with some good supporting characters with their own unique personalities. Yes, the flaws heavily bring it down, and I do believe this could have been something great like Monster of Mexico, but it's just ultimately a middle of the road, which isn't bad compared to the other piece of trash I've been mentioning throughout this review. And I say, if you can get past its flaws, it's definitely worth the watch. And I would be lying to say I have some nostalgic feelings for it. So with that being said, I'm just gonna go ahead and give this movie a C. As I said, not the worst What's New film. Believe me, we're getting there, but definitely not the best. It's alright. So, if you enjoyed this review, then please let me know what you thought on the film by going to support the official release by Warner Brothers, and also letting me know down below in the comments, what did you think of this film? Do you agree that it could have been better, or do you think it's fine as it is? And if you definitely enjoyed the new content, then please hit that subscribe button. I love to have you, and if you enjoyed this review, hit that like button, and if you want to stay up to date with all of my videos and more, then please hit that little bell icon to be notified when my videos drop. And once again, thanks to my new editor, Noble Absent, for editing this review. Thank you all so much, and until then, this is the Jedi Bender saying,
Scooby-Dooby-Doo! Aloha!
see you for the next one.
That rattle chains.
Or things that eat your brains.
No banshee witch that scares me out of my mind.
We're finally on vacation and going someplace new.
Instant relaxation!
Is all we're going